After considering it for a while, I was sure that I had to make the documentary about Insomnium, a melodic death metal band from Finland. The reason why I chose them as a topic is simply because this band has become one of my main interests during this year. By now, people must be wondering why I like this genre of music or why I find it so special, and I can only answer them by saying it is an acquired taste after you start moving forward towards heavier variations of heavy metal. Yes, the vocals are growled, and that is the main reason why people don't like the genre and instantly dismiss it. However, behind that, there is a powerful and melodic musicianship, mainly based on guitars, which implies deep, strong lyrics, thus leading to the use of extreme vocals to back up or support the music. Now, talking about Insomnium, the band I'm focusing on, they have an origin that goes back to early to mid 1990s. At this stage, all members from the band were just getting into heavy metal between the ages of 13 to 15. They had a serious liking about the genre, and all of them wanted to play an instrument that could fulfill the dream of playing in a metal band. They formed several bands, which gradually changed with time due to their shifting musical interest. They went from listening to mainly traditional metal to heavier derivations of it, until they got to black and death metal. When Niilo Sebanen, now vocalist and bass player of the band, was in high school around autumn 1995, he noticed that there were some younger metalheads in his school, for example, Ville Freeman and Markus Hirvonen, who played the guitars and drums respectively. There was also a friend from Niilo named Tapani Pesonen, who wanted to form a band. Tapani and Niilo had composed a song for acoustic guitars and piano, so they invited Freeman and Hirvonen to play that song in a concert show from their school. They got along really well, and they finally figured the style they wanted to play was, according to them, furious and yet melodic metal with many acoustic passages, catchy music which still had many layers and some complexity, so it was fun for us to play. After deciding this, Tapani left the band because of musical differences, and some years later, Ville joined the band to form Insomnium as it is known today. Insomnium was formed in 1997 in a small town called Joensuu in Finland. Initially, the band went through several lineup changes, but by 2001, the main lineup was formed by Niilo Sebanen, who acted as a frontman, being in charge of the vocals and the bass. Ville Freeman played the guitars, Ville Bani also on the guitars, and Markus Hirvonen played the drums. Additionally, the band had a live musician for the keyboards, called Alexi Munter, which still plays with them and helps the band in the recording of the keyboards when they are working in a new album. All of the members were involved in the songwriting except Markus Hirvonen. From 2001 throughout 2011, the band remained stable and the lineup didn't change at all. However, in 2011, Ville Bani, who is a general surgeon, left the band. From 1999 to 2000, the band recorded 2 demos. The first one was simply named Demo 1999, and the second one, released 1 year after, was called Underneath the Moonlit Waves, and was very well received by the underground metal community. The first full length came in 2002, and it was titled In the Halls of Awaiting. It included the songs from the second demo plus other 6 new songs. The production was clearly improved. There were timeless melodies and riffs, although the overall sound was still a bit rough. This album showed some of the fastest riffs that the band will compose in their career, and there was a bit more of aggression. All the songs are real highlights here, excepting maybe Song of the Storm, which is still very good, but not excellent as the other tracks. Ill-Starred Sun, Black Waters, In Shades of Deep Green, and the epic closing title track, In the Halls of Awaiting, are my favorite songs from this album, and one could say that they are among the peak of the quality that Insomnium can offer. The band became better known, although their great musicianship remained listened only by avid heavy metal investigators or the small population of metalheads who lived nearby the band in Finland. Overall, the sound was clearly melodic death metal like it was meant to be played, but it also included folk elements and several acoustic passages. The influences were clear from the start, mainly including Finnish bands such as Amorphis and Sentenced, and other Swedish bands like Dark Tranquillity, At the Gates, Opeth, Dissection, and In Flames, when they had their old style. In spite of these influences, the band showed originality to great extent, and they were so well received by melodic death metal fans that even they refused to compare them to other Scandinavian bands, since the quality of their musicianship was and songwriting was clearly superior. Insomnium started doing more gigs, all of them being in Finnish towns, since they still were quite underground. The process of the band's evolution continued on their second album, Since the Day It All Came Down, released in 2004. The album was a bit more varied than their debut release, showing some atmospheric moments with some slower riffs and plenty more acoustic passages. Some people consider this release more solid than their previous one, but I have to say that I consider it slightly inferior than In the Halls of Awaiting, because Insomnium kind of lost their original direction by adding prolonged acoustic sections. The slower riffs were in their vast majority very pleasant and melodic, and there were also moments of more aggressiveness. My main complaint to this album is that the band should have used their great ability to produce riffs of excellent quality to focus more on them. However, some acoustic parts like the one present in the Song of the Forlorn Son are extremely memorable and ear-pleasing. Other songs like The Day It All Came Down include some of the best riffs and atmosphere the band has yet produced, so the album, despite of its few flaws, is extremely competent. When the third album was announced, great expectations were formed by the most devoted fans of the band. They were not in vain, since Above the Weeping World, released in 2006, would show improvement in almost every aspect of the music. The production was polished to sound more powerful and clean. The vocals were clearly tighter. The songwriting was executed with more precision, and the most important part, the riffs were incredibly memorable, creating moments in which listeners of this kind of music, like me, would find themselves in moments of musical ecstasy. Yes, the music is sheer melodic death metal excellence, with probably the best acoustic guitar passages Insomnium has offered. Every song is awesome in its own way, but I have to say that Drawn to Black, Change of Heart, The Killjoy, and Last Statement are the most notable tracks, because of the incredible melodic riffs, the excellent lyrics, and the feeling that they give you when you listen to them. If there is a track that is less than a classic, it is devoid of caring, which in my opinion doesn't create the lovely aesthetics that the other songs create. Above the Weeping World is my favorite Insomnium album, and it is among the best musical creations that I've heard in all my life. Everything in this album was carefully crafted with excellence. Even the album artwork contains some images and pictures of the band that perfectly complements the experience of hearing the songs. From 2006 to 2009, the band toured in several countries of Europe and for the first time gave concerts in North America, playing gigs in Canada and United States. The extensive touring was a success for the band, since they gained the attention from new fans of different parts of the world. However, the band has never fallen in the mainstream realm of metal, mainly because they refuse to change their style, so that it is more appealing for the masses. This can be justified by the fact that the members of the band are really passionate for what they do, and they prefer to release music of excellent quality rather than being liked by a large population. In the summer of 2009, Insomnium started recording their fourth album. The band promised to offer new variations to their characteristic sound. They included clean vocals in addition to the growls done by Neil Sebanen. Across the Dark was released in mid-September of 2009, and it showed an evolved more mature band that still remained true to its roots. The production was further improved, the mind-blowing melodic riffs became more dominant, and the clean vocals added an additional layer to the music, which gave it a more melodic sound. There are glorious moments in the album where some softer acoustic parts transform into a magnificent riff, like in the song Lay of the Autumn. Meanwhile, the lyrics and atmosphere are more introspective and have a deeper meaning. There can be found other instant classics such as Down with the Sun, The Harrowing Years, Into the Woods, and the bonus track The New Beginning. Delights the listener with an incredible amount of competent melodic riffs with a memorable solo. Once again, there is a weaker track called Where the Last Wave Broke, where in my consideration the clean vocals sound a bit cheesy and the riffs aren't that transcendental. According to what I've heard of their albums, this is the second best Insomnium album, a tad behind Above the Weeping World and just an inch superior from their debut album In the Halls of Awaiting. Insomnium received an almost unanimous good response to their fourth album, and they kept touring around Europe with other bands, of which Dark Tranquillity, a melodic death metal band from Sweden, was the best known. Right after these tours, the band was signed by a bigger and more important record label, called Century Media, replacing their previous, smaller label, Candlelight Records. With a panorama full of hope ahead of the band, they began recording new material for their fifth album. Insomnium used 3 different studios to record their songs. They first recorded the drums, bass, and vocals in the Phantom Studios in Finland. Then they recorded the guitars in Gothenburg, Sweden, in a studio owned by the bass player of Dark Tranquillity. And finally, they recorded the keyboards in a different studio located in Finland, which the band considered that can get the best sound out of this instrument. The album was titled One for Sorrow, based on a traditional English nursery rhyme from the 18th century. It included new elements and was a bit more varied, although it followed a similar structure than its predecessor. Perhaps the only variation I can notice is that clean vocals are much more used and the keyboards are slightly more noticeable. Like the previous 3 albums, One for Sorrow starts off with an instrumental piece called Inertia, and it also has some longer epic songs. There are 2 bonus tracks. One of them, titled Weather the Storm, features Dark Tranquillity's vocalist Michael Stane and has some very pleasant riffs. The second one is an instrumental track named Beyond the Horizon, which has a simple song structure compared to other Insomnium songs, but it sounds incredibly well. Generally, the album is not as haunting and mind-blowing as the previous releases, but it certainly is a great example of how a band can maintain a very good level of music throughout several albums and the course of 15 years of career. One could say that the album is a logic transition from the previous albums, showing some progress and evolution, yet not being as ear-delighting and memorable. The production is another aspect that slightly decreased in quality compared to Across the Dark, which is weird since their new label has more economic resources. Some of the highlights include songs like Only One Who Waits, Song of the Blackest Bird, and Lay the Ghost to Rest. All the members from Insomnium know that they don't produce music for the money. Of course, they sell some albums and all the touring earns them some money, but the band itself said that if they were in the music business to solve all their economic problems and live like wealthy people, they wouldn't be producing melodic death metal, but pop music. Once again, this shows that Insomnium composes music because they feel passion for it and they like the genre they play. That is one feature of most underground metal bands these days. They produce music because of the pleasure it gives to them and to delight fans who like the genre when played with true passion and conviction. This is the reason why most metalheads complain about today's music, because it is done to sell and not to produce good music and pleasure to the listeners. Now, going back to the members of the band, they all have their study degrees and all of them have an everyday job, so that they can live more economically comfortable and because they feel that a person must cultivate their intellect. Otherwise, they would feel a void in that aspect. Niilo Sebanen studied cultural history, Ville Freeman is a biologist, Ville Vani is a doctor, and Marcus Hirvonen is an environmental engineer. The band said, "So we all have our degrees and our steady day jobs at the moment. So we don't need to make music as our living, which is of course a great thing. We can do exactly the kind of music we want, because there's not so much commercial pressure that we need to sell thousands and thousands of copies to pay our mortgages or rent. We have our day jobs and we have our band, and it's a very good arrangement at the moment. If we were in this for the money, we wouldn't be playing death metal, we would be making some kind of pop music." The band's frontman, Niilo Sebanen, also says that he considers Insomnium's style different from any other band. He emphasizes on their interest they put into their lyrics, and that is mostly due to the great writing ability that Niilo possesses. He has always liked writing short stories, and he has even won contests in Finland for short story writing, which is something he looks forward to doing in the future. He says, "I think we can confidently say there is no other band that at the moment is making the same sort of music as Insomnium. It's hard to put it in words what is the theme. Our lyrics are different than what anyone else is doing. We put a lot of effort in the lyrics, and there are many bands that don't really care much about the lyrics. And maybe it's something they're not interested in or capable of writing well. So that's one thing. This certain kind of melancholic, moody melodies that we do, the atmosphere in our music, in some ways you can call it unique. Of course, there are other bands out there that sound similar, but I think as a whole we're kind of doing the music no one else is at the moment. From what I've seen, heard, and investigated, there are now some bands that might have been inspired by Insomnium's style. The first one that comes to my mind is Numena, also from Finland. Although they emerged around the same time as Insomnium, they have a similar approach to their music, with great melodies and a folk feeling. There is also a newer band from Australia called Bellacore, who has a lot of elements in common with Insomnium. They have a great writing ability when it comes to lyrics. They also write about nature, introspection, and dark themes, except Bellacore include other themes like Greek mythology and paganism. This band has a more progressive instrumentation, and it has also become one of my favorite metal acts. Other bands that sound similar to Insomnium include, from USA, Daylight Dies, November's Doom, and Garden of Shadows. From Finland, Rapture, Omnium Gatherum, and Swallow the Sun. From Sweden, Slumber, Dark Tranquility, In Morning, and October Tide. From Germany, Words of Farewell. However, I share Insomnium's opinion and consider that even though there are several bands who sound similar, Insomnium has a unique atmosphere. The band's lyrical themes include darkness, mourning, loss, pain, and nature. The following fragment is taken from an interview. "Now that you mention it, why do you always sound so sad?" "Well, we like this kind of music." No, I figured as much. I'm not trying to say you're horribly depressed. We're pretty normal and happy guys, so don't worry, we're not depressed or anything like that. We simply like this kind of music. So if someone was wondering why the band likes to include those lyrical themes into their music, there is the answer: they simply consider that they fit their music perfectly. Still, there is a clarification that needs to be made. This music is not for everybody. First of all, you need to like extreme genres of metal that include some melodies in it. Secondly, you have to be into the aesthetics of the band, which is quite dark and nature related. You can see that they always include an image of a northern landscape in their album covers. Furthermore, behind those images there is a short story that is told in each song. As I said before, Insomnium has based their strong and competent songwriting on Nilo Sevanen's skill to write short stories, interest in literature and poetry. Recently, they've decided to include passages of dark poetry extracted from recognized authors. For example, in the song Drawn to Black, there is a citation of the poem The Night Has a Thousand Eyes from Francis William Bourdieu, a British poet and translator who lived in the 19th century. The fragment of the poem they used is the following. One could also say that their lyrics also include love and relationships with females, as seen in several of their songs, and there is always a close relation between the nature and the seasons that the lyrics talk about to the mood of the songs and the riffs of or acoustic passages that are played. That is a big strength from the band, because they can express what they're saying in the lyrics through the music. Finally, I can say from what I've read of their lyrics that in several songs there is a clear atmosphere of hope and joy behind the dark aesthetics. To describe briefly what I feel when I listen to an Insomnium song and why I like them so much, I'd say that I picture myself walking by a forest surrounded by nature like the one from Finland. Once there, I feel relaxed by the atmosphere and environment that the great guitar melodies create. Also, when there is an epic musical climax in a song, I feel like I can connect these images that I create in my mind with reality, and sometimes I feel sudden chills because, to my ears, the music that Insomnium does can't be matched and offers excellent quality. Listening to any of their songs is a great experience that resembles to a long journey in nature, and it will be furthermore enjoyed if you like this kind of music.